All right, so here we go. We're talking about quadratics now. And quadratics are things that have a squared in them. And so you got to be good at foiling. Like, for instance, on this one, you'd multiply the first, the outside, the inside, and the last. It's a little annoying that that 9 is in front of the x, but either way, you'd come out with that when you multiply it all the way out. Okay, this one, it's really common for kids to make a mistake and just think that's squared, and that's the answer. And then they would get it wrong because it has a middle term. It really should be x minus 4 times x minus 4. All right, and that gives you this. Next, I would like to talk about this one right here. You would do this part first because the squared has to happen before the multiply and the add. Once that gets squared, you'd have x squared minus 10x plus 25. Then those all get multiplied by negative 3. And then at the very end, you add 6 to it. I'm going to pause for a second while you work on that. Okay, here we go. Hopefully you had negative 3x squared plus 30x minus 69. Raise your hand if you had it right. That's most of you. All right, good. All right, moving on. Go to this page, please, on your iPad. All right. General form means generally, you just multiply it out. Would you please do that and write in the answer? It takes a while to learn how to zoom in and write the answer in so you can read it. Just in general form for this. This is the page that says x minus 6, x plus 2. Just an iPad question for you. I sometimes see people, they're trying to make the screen bigger, but it writes on the screen. How can you double tap it? The pens? Gotcha. So when you double tap it, the pens go away and you can size it. You double tap it again to get the pens back. Okay. Double tap means something different when you're killing zombies. All right. Anyway, x squared minus 4x minus 12. Raise your hand if you had that right. Okay, good. Some of you didn't raise your hand, but I think you're just slow. Okay. Next one, the y-intercept. The y-intercept is where x is 0. So if I put in a 0 here and here, they just cancel and they're gone, and the answer is negative 12. But is that really a y-intercept? A y-intercept is where x is 0, so it's 0 comma negative 12. Get that? All right, didn't even ask you to do that one. If you did it, you're ahead of the game. But x-intercepts, the x-intercepts are where y is 0. That means I'd have to say it y at the beginning of this whole thing, and I make it 0. And how do I make this 0? Oh, if this is 6, and if this is what? Negative 2. All right, good. Then those are the x-intercepts at 6 and negative 2. Now, the axis of symmetry is the line that runs right between those two. It might help at this point if you go over to your graph and put a dot at 6 and a dot at negative 2. It'll look kind of like that. Go ahead and do that on your graph right now. Put a dot at 6 and a dot at negative 2. Now, if you're somewhat talented at sketching, you could probably draw the dotted line that goes right between the two. Like this is the axis of symmetry. Probably easier for me to make a dotted line than it is for you to make a dotted line, but it'll be a dotted line going down the middle between them. Ooh, that's a sneaky way to do it. She just made a solid line down the middle and then erased little pieces and made it a dotted line that way. That keeps it perfectly straight. That's awesome. All right. So that's the axis of symmetry is that x equals 2. That's what that dotted line down there means. And then the vertex. This is the harder part again. How do you figure out where that thing makes its turn? Like where its bottom is, where the lowest point is. Well, you just take the 2 and you stick it back into the equation. If I put a 2 in right here, 2 minus 6 and 2 plus 2. 2 minus 6 is negative 4. 2 times 2 is positive 4. So 2 plus 2, sorry. So it's negative 4 times positive 4, which makes what? Negative 16. So there's your vertex at negative 2, negative 16. So go put a dot. But can you really? I don't think it'll even fit on the screen. Is it? Oh, I suppose if you numbered by 2s, if it was numbered by 2s, you could make it fit. All right, so there's my picture starting to shape up. I'm going to get rid of a few of these boxes you never had in the first place. Okay, and so my final answer is the black dots get connected together, and I can even make up one right there because you see how it needs symmetry, and so I could put another point in right there. And then again, these can be kind of crude. Even you've seen me drawing up here. It's hard to make them look really nice. It's okay if it's not really nice. All right, moving on. This is a whole nother page of review of the same exact thing. I just want to go through it fairly fast. The x-intercepts are on the screens. I just have to look at them and I see them. And they're at -7 and -1. Don't have to write these down. Take you too long. Axis of symmetry runs right between them. How can I find what's between -1 and -7? I average them. What's -1 and -7 added together? No, it's not. It's -8. And then you divide by 2. What's half of -8? -4. And there's no 5 involved at all. Anyway, okay. So axis symmetry is at -4. The vertex, it's on my screen. It's easy to see where it is. It tells me where it is. Duh. Then vertex form. Would you please take a second and write y equals, and then write what you think vertex form is for this puppy. And I'm going to have you show it to your partner and compare in a second. Start writing. Under vertex form is all you need here. Y equals, and then whatever you think it is. And if you remember vertex form, it's very easy. Maybe you'll get it from your partner if you don't know what to do. All right, I'll get you started. For those that are saying I have no idea what to do, it's y equals x, and then there's +4 in parentheses, because remember how that's the opposite? Raise your hand if you were doing it right. Okay, good. There's the final answer. +4 squared minus 9. They're not both counterintuitive, only stuff on the inside is counterintuitive. Now, how if I wanted factored form? I really would want to do general form first, and then I just factor it. So how do I get general form? Generally, just multiply it out. So I take this, multiply it out, and I get that. And then I just take that and I'd factor it. Once it's factored, I'd have that. So again, how did I get this answer right here? How I got that answer was because I took this and multiplied it out. And once I multiplied it out, I got that. Once I got that, I factored it, and you'd have that. Okay, question or comment? Yes, you could have got the factored form since they gave them to me in the first place. Those are my two numbers that go right here and here. Yep. All right. Then, last thing, y-intercept. That's where x is 0. So there's a y-intercept right there. Okay. Moving on. This is the same stuff again, except the only difference, this parabola is special because it's what? It's flipped. So what does the equation have to start with? A negative. Don't forget that the negative has to go in on this kind. All right, we're skipping over that. Now I got to teach you one more thing that was on the homework, but it was not on my smartboard. And it is about how do you do vertex form from general form. Say I had y equals 2x plus, no, 2x squared. No, let's make it 2x squared. Let's make it x squared plus 3x, no, let's not do that, let's do 8x plus 5. That doesn't factor. What if I wanted to do the plus box, minus box thing to this? Remember that? That's on the final. All right. Now this is the part where you have to write this down. The problem isn't written for you. You got to make a blank page. Do you know how to add a blank page? Oh, if there's one there, cool, and just write on the blank page, it's already there. If you didn't already have one, you would go insert page. You can even insert graph paper really easy. You can insert any kind of paper you want. It's cool. All right. Now follow me with this. Okay, so if I want to do the plus box, minus box, I got to write this again. X squared plus 8x. And now I'm going to have to change my ways because of the iPad. Because the boxes get so messy. So instead of doing plus a box and minus a box, you can do plus a line and minus a line. And then plus 5. Because then I can write numbers on top of the line a lot easier than in a box. Boxes get too messy. All right. Now, this is the part right here that has to be perfect. And you remember the little German boy that tells us the answer? Half and square. The half of this is 8. No, a half of 8 is 4. Squared is 16. And 16. And then your final answer on this one, y equals. This has 2 sets of parentheses, but you can put them together and say squared. And it would be x plus 4 squared. And then these guys go together and go out here, negative what? 11. All right. All right, now, next. And why do we do this? Because now I know the vertex. The vertex is negative 4, comma, negative 11. Notice it's the opposite of that. There's my vertex. Okay, so would you be able to do that if this was negative? All right, watch what I would do. You don't have to do it, just watch. That means your eyeballs need to be up here. Look, watch. Keep the eyeballs up here. John, pry eyeballs off iPad. All right, I got to take the negative out first. And if I do that, I'll have x squared minus 8x plus a line minus a line minus 5. Do you remember factoring something out of the first 2 terms and putting it on the outside? Do you remember that? Now notice I have to do this times this, give me that. This times this gives me that. That's why it has to be a negative and a negative to make it positive. All right, then I do half and square. Half of negative 8 is 4. 4 squared is 16. 16. And then I just have a negative in front of my equation, and it's all the same other than that. X minus 4 squared. Those guys go together, negative 21. Except I just made a mistake. Can anybody figure out where it was? Kind of. Something about a negative. Yes? Yes. This negative 1 that I took out here has to go here. It's so easy to forget. It happens to me all the time. Whatever you factor out here needs to go on the second box. Needs to go there. So that makes that positive 16. Positive 16 minus 5 would be positive 9. Get how that's completely different? All right. It's really easy to forget. Whatever you factored out here goes here. Why do I bring that up? Because on your packet they have the exact same problem. Okay? So, would you please go to your packet right now? We are on day 3 of the packet. This is the part where you do not need your iPad. Please shut your iPad. Put it away. They're a good tool, but that does you don't use this tool all the time. All right.